It was a warm Saturday evening in Atlanta. The sky was dark, but the lights from the mansion on the hill lit up the whole street. Expensive cars lined the driveway. Music played from the backyard, soft and classy, the kind you hear at fancy events. Maya Benson stood across the street, holding her keys tightly in one hand and a small gift bag in the other. She had just finished a 12-hour shift at the hospital. Her feet ached in her simple black flats, and her blue scrubs were covered by a long cardigan. She had barely touched her makeup before rushing over. Still, she smiled. She was excited to see Jordan. She crossed the street and walked up the steps. Inside, the house was full of laughter, clinking glasses, and people dressed in designer clothes. Everyone looked polished, confident, rich. Maya's smile began to fade. No one looked like her. A few people gave her a quick glance, then turned away. She spotted Jordan near the bar, laughing with a group of med school students. She walked toward him, lifting her hand a little. "Jordan," she said, her voice soft. He looked at her, then looked away, like he didn't know her. Maya's heart skipped. Maybe he hadn't seen her properly. She stepped closer. "Hey, it's me," she started. Jordan quickly reached out and touched her arm. "Let's talk over here," he whispered, guiding her away from the crowd. They stopped near a hallway. "What are you doing here?" he asked, voice low but tense. "I came to surprise you," Maya said, holding out the gift bag. "I thought you'd want me here. You said the party was open." Jordan looked around nervously. "Maya, this party, it's not really your crowd," he said. "These are med school families, doctors, people from Sasha's network. You just got off work. You're not dressed for this." Maya blinked. "So? I'm not here to impress anyone. I came to support you." Jordan let out a short sigh. "I just think tonight isn't the right setting. Maybe you should go. I'll call you later, all right?" Maya stared at him. Her chest hurt. "I worked double shifts to help pay your tuition," she said quietly. "I haven't bought new shoes in a year because I wanted to make sure your bills were covered. And now you're telling me I don't belong." Jordan didn't answer. He looked away again. Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she refused to cry here. She nodded once, slowly. Then she turned, walked out of the house, and into the night. The laughter and music faded behind her, but the echo of his words stayed in her chest, like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. Maya Benson grew up in a small apartment on the south side of Atlanta. Her mother, a school secretary, raised her alone. Life was never easy, but it was full of love. Maya never had brand new clothes or fancy toys, but she had hugs, warm meals, and someone who believed in her. From a young age, Maya learned how to take care of others. She was the kind of person who always shared, even when she didn't have much. In high school, while other kids went out, Maya helped her mum clean offices after work. She didn't complain. She knew they were doing their best. She became a nurse not just for the paycheck, but because she liked helping people. She worked hard through nursing school, sometimes sleeping in her car between shifts. But she made it. Now, at 27, she had a stable job at a busy hospital and her own small apartment. That's where she met Jordan Miles. He had come into the hospital one night as a volunteer, helping out as part of a pre-med program. He was smart, funny, and full of big dreams. They started talking during breaks, and soon it became something more. Jordan came from a different world. His parents lived in a quiet, upper-middle-class suburb. His father was an accountant, his mother a speech therapist. But even with that background, med school was expensive. Jordan had loans, side jobs, and a lot of pressure. At first, Maya admired his drive. She believed in him. When he struggled to pay his tuition during his second year, she offered to help. He said no at first, but eventually gave in. She transferred $5,000 from her savings. No questions asked, no paperwork, just trust. She thought they were building something real together. They moved in together, into Maya's apartment. She kept paying most of the bills while Jordan studied and worked shifts at the hospital part-time. For a while, they felt like a team, but something started to change. Jordan became distant. He started dressing differently. Expensive shoes, a new watch, cologne Maya hadn't seen before. He was always on his phone, but never let her see the screen. He started coming home late. When she asked where he'd been, he just said, studying. He didn't call her babe anymore, just Maya. Their conversations turned cold. He'd roll his eyes when she talked about her patients. When she was tired from work, he acted like she was weak. Sometimes she caught him looking at her like she didn't fit into his life anymore. One evening, as they sat on the couch eating takeout, she said softly, "Do you still see us together after med school?" He looked at her, shrugged, and said, "I don't know. Life changes." That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She remembered something her mother once told her. If someone makes you feel small, they don't deserve to stand beside you. Still, Maya kept trying. She believed that love meant giving your best even when it hurt. Maybe he was just stressed. Maybe once exams were over, he'd come back to her fully. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right. One morning, while folding laundry, she found a receipt for a dinner at a 5-star restaurant for two. She hadn't been there. When she asked Jordan about it, he brushed it off. It was just a networking dinner with some med school friends. Her heart sank a little more each day. And yet, she still held on, because she remembered the Jordan who brought her coffee after her night shifts, the one who rubbed her back when she was sick, the one who called her his future. But now, the future felt like a door slowly closing, and she was standing outside, holding the key to a lock he didn't want to open anymore. The next morning, sunlight came through the window, but the room felt cold. Maya sat at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a mug of tea she wasn't drinking. Her eyes were red from crying all night. She hadn't slept. Jordan walked in, wearing joggers and a clean white shirt, looking fresh like nothing had happened. Maya looked up. "We need to talk," she said. He sighed, grabbed a glass of orange juice from the fridge, and leaned against the counter. "About what?" She stared at him. "Last night." Jordan sipped his drink like he didn't have a care in the world. "Maya, it wasn't a big deal." "Not a big deal?" Her voice cracked. "You acted like you didn't even know me. You looked me in the eye and walked away. Why would you do that?" Jordan shrugged. "It just wasn't the right time or place. That party wasn't really your kind of scene. You wouldn't understand the people there. They're different." Maya blinked slowly, trying to stay calm. "Different how? They come from money, from influence. They're not nurses or regular people. They're future surgeons, specialists, board members. And I'm just a nurse," she said softly. He didn't answer. Maya stood up, her chair sliding back. "You know what hurts the most? It's not the party. It's that I worked double shifts to pay your tuition. I missed birthdays, holidays, sleep, just to help you get through school. I gave you everything I had, and now I'm not good enough to stand next to you at a party." Jordan set the glass down and rubbed the back of his neck. "You were there for me, Maya. I appreciate that. I really do. But things are changing. I'm changing." She stared at him. "Say what you really mean." He looked straight at her, eyes cold. "You were a stepping stone. You helped me get here. But now, I've outgrown all that." The words hit like a slap. Maya's hands dropped to her sides. Her lips trembled. "So, that's all I was to you? A tool?" Jordan didn't answer. He didn't even look sorry. A silence filled the room, sharp and heavy. Maya nodded slowly, tears filling her eyes again. But this time, her sadness turned into anger. "You need to leave," she said. Jordan raised an eyebrow. "What?" "You heard me. Get your things. Get out of my apartment." He scoffed. "Maya, don't be dramatic." "I'm not being dramatic. I'm done." Her voice was firm now. "You used me, and I let you, but not anymore." Jordan looked annoyed. "Fine." He grabbed his keys from the counter. "I'll come back for my stuff later." "No," she said sharply. "You come back only when I'm not here. I don't want to see you again." He stared at her for a moment, like he was still in control. Then he walked out the door without another word. When the door closed, Maya stood there, staring at the empty space where he had just been. Her body shook, but she didn't cry. Not this time. This time, she was angry, and that anger felt like the start of something new. The days after Jordan left were heavy for Maya. She stayed in bed longer than usual. Her alarm would ring, but she wouldn't move. Sometimes, she just stared at the ceiling, her body frozen, her heart numb. She barely ate. Toast in the morning, maybe a cup of tea. At work, she faked smiles, but the light in her eyes was gone. She made mistakes, forgot to chart medications, almost gave the wrong dose once. Her supervisor pulled her aside. "Maya, are you okay?" She nodded, said she was tired. That was true. She was tired in her bones. Her friends noticed. They stopped by after shifts, tried to cheer her up. One brought cookies, another tried to get her to go out for dinner. Maya always said no. She didn't feel like being around anyone. Her mother called every evening. "Come home, baby," she said. "You need rest, real food." Company Maya would mumble something and hang up. She didn't want to cry in front of her mother. She felt humiliated, not just heartbroken, but used. She had loved Jordan deeply. She had believed in him, defended him, supported him, And in the end, he had thrown her away, like she meant nothing. Then came the photos. One night, while scrolling through her phone, she saw it, a picture on Instagram. Jordan was at a private golf club, standing next to Sasha, the girl Maya had seen a few times at the hospital. Sasha wore a white tennis skirt and designer sunglasses. Jordan was smiling, relaxed. Someone had tagged the location. Sasha's father's club. Maya stared at the screen for a long time. The comments stung. Power couple. Doctor and future Mrs. Miles. Love this for y'all. Her chest tightened. He had moved on. No, he had moved up. And here she was, alone in her small apartment, eating cereal for dinner. Then something strange happened. She opened her banking app and saw a charge from her account. A rideshare to a restaurant she didn't recognize. Her eyes narrowed. She clicked on more transactions. Another dinner. A pair of sneakers. A spa charge. Her name was on the account. Jordan had once used her card, just for emergencies, and she hadn't removed it. He was still using her money. Her hand shook as she scrolled. She printed the statements, took screenshots, looked through old texts, messages where he said things like, "Babe, I promise I'll pay you back every cent when I'm done with school." Each message now felt like a lie. She put the papers into a folder and zipped it shut. Her sadness was still there, but something else was growing, a quiet, burning anger. A week later, her phone rang while she was at work. Unknown number. She stepped outside to answer. Hello? Hi, is this Maya Benson? Yes. This is attorney William Clark. I'm calling on behalf of Jordan Miles. He's filed a small claim regarding a financial matter between you two. Maya's mouth went dry. Excuse me? He's stating that the $5,000 you gave him last year was a personal gift, and he is requesting the court to confirm that so he's not required to repay it. She felt the ground shift. He filed a claim? Yes, ma'am. The court date is in 3 weeks. You'll receive documents shortly. Please let me know if you have legal counsel. Maya hung up, her hands ice cold. She stood outside the hospital for a long time. Cars passing by, the sun beginning to set. She had been erased, just like that. She wasn't just hurt anymore. She was being made to look like she had given Jordan money out of kindness. And now he wanted to make it official, to make sure no one could ever say he owed her anything. He wanted to write her out of his story, but Maya had proof. She walked back inside with her head up, her steps stronger than before. He had underestimated her, and now he was going to regret it. The courtroom was small and plain. No big drama, no fancy lawyers, just a judge, a few chairs, and silence that felt too loud. Maya sat alone on one side. She wore a simple black dress and had her hair pulled back neatly. She looked calm, but her heart was beating fast. She clutched the folder in her lap. Inside were her screenshots, receipts, and bank statements. She had gone over them 100 times. The door opened. Jordan walked in, smiling slightly. He wore a sharp suit and held Sasha's hand. Sasha was dressed like she was going to brunch, not court. Tall heels, expensive bag, soft perfume filling the air as she passed Maya without a glance. Jordan didn't look nervous. He nodded politely to the judge like this was nothing. The judge, a woman in her 50s, looked down at her papers and then at the two of them. This is case number 4123, Mr. Jordan Miles versus Ms. Maya Benson. Both parties present? Yes, Your Honor, they said. Jordan spoke first. Your Honor, last year Maya gave me $5,000. It was a personal gift, out of love. Now she's asking for it back, but there was no agreement, no loan. I believe she's acting out of anger. The judge turned to Maya. Ms. Benson? Maya stood slowly. Your Honor, I didn't give Jordan that money as a gift. I gave it because he asked, because he told me he needed it for tuition. He said he would pay me back. She opened her folder and handed copies of the messages to the clerk. These texts showed Jordan asking for help. He says, I swear I'll pay you back once I'm settled. And here, she held up a receipt, is a payment I made directly to his school account, from my card. The judge read the papers in silence, then looked up at Jordan. Mr. Miles, you're saying there was no agreement to repay this money? Jordan shifted. Not a legal one, no. We were engaged at the time. People in relationships help each other all the time. Maya looked at him. Her voice was steady. I wasn't helping a partner. I was covering tuition. I skipped meals and worked double shifts while you studied. You said you'd repay me. You said it more than once. The judge sighed. Mr. Miles, the messages are clear. This was not a gift. I'm ordering you to repay the full $5,000 plus $500 in court fees and damages. Jordan's smile disappeared. He opened his mouth to speak, but Sasha gently tugged his arm. The judge was about to end the case, but Maya raised her hand. Your Honor, may I say one last thing? The judge nodded. Go ahead. Maya took a breath. I just want it on record that I wasn't just someone's wallet. I wasn't a fool. I believed in someone who stopped believing in himself. I loved someone who was scared of being seen, really seen. She turned to Jordan. Her voice didn't shake. I was your mirror, and when you didn't like what you saw, you ran. But I didn't deserve to be erased. Not from your story, not from my own. The room went quiet. Jordan looked down at the floor. Sasha let go of his hand. Maya picked up her folder and walked out of the courtroom with her head high. This wasn't just a win in court. It was the moment she finally saw her own worth and refused to let anyone take it away again. Maya took a break from everything after the court case. She turned off her phone and booked a quiet cabin up in the North Georgia mountains. Just trees, wind, and silence. She sat by the lake with a cup of tea, wrapped in a sweater, breathing in fresh air. For the first time in months, she felt peace. No noise, no pretending, just herself. When she got back to the city, things felt different, lighter. She quit her old job and accepted an offer from a better hospital. The pay was higher and the staff were kind. She had her own space again, her own rhythm. She reached out to her friends, the ones she had pushed away. They welcomed her back with hugs, laughter, and long talks over dinner. One night, after laughing so hard she cried, she realized she had missed them, and they had missed her too. Maya also booked a therapy session. She was nervous at first, but once she started talking, it was like a dam broke. She spoke about her childhood, how she always felt she had to take care of others, how she thought love meant giving until it hurt. The therapist looked at her and said gently, "You don't have to bleed to prove your worth." Those words stayed with her. She started writing in a journal every night. At first, just a few lines, then whole pages, about the things she felt, the lies she used to believe, the strength she had forgotten she had. Her pain slowly turned into lessons, her anger into clarity. Jordan's life, on the other hand, began to change too, but not in a good way. People at the med school heard about the court case. Some professors found out. His name was no longer just tied to excellence, but also to scandal. Sasha stopped showing up with him. Her Instagram became full of solo photos again. The golf club, the brunches, all of it faded. Whatever future Jordan thought he had built with her, it started falling apart. His pride had cost him more than money. It cost him the one person who truly had his back. Meanwhile, Maya kept moving forward. One Saturday, she started volunteering to teach CPR classes in her neighborhood. It felt good to give back, but in a new way. Not from a place of sacrifice, but from strength. After one class, a young man about her age came up to her. "You're really good at this," he said. "Have you ever thought about teaching full-time? Or maybe going back to school?" Maya smiled, surprised by the question. She hadn't thought about it, not seriously, but as she walked home that evening, something lit up inside her, a tiny spark, a thought she hadn't allowed herself to dream before. Maybe there was more out there for her, not just healing from the past, but building a future that was hers, full of purpose, joy, and choice. And for the first time in a long time, she was excited to see what would come next. The cafe was quiet, with soft music playing in the background. Maya sat by the window, her warm cup of tea beside her. Sunlight poured in, touching her skin gently. She held her journal in her lap, the pages almost full now. She had written down so much. Her pain, her healing, her thoughts, her hopes. This journal had become her safe place, her voice. She looked out the window for a moment, watching people walk by. A mother holding her child's hand, a young couple laughing over coffee, a man reading a book alone. Life was moving forward, and so was she. Maya picked up her pen and wrote slowly. "I thought love was about holding someone else up. Turns out, real love is what makes you stand tall on your own." She read the words twice, then smiled softly. There was no more anger in her heart, just peace. She closed the notebook, tied the little string around it, and placed it in her bag. She stood up, pushed her chair in, and walked to the door. As she stepped outside, the warm sunlight hit her face. She closed her eyes for a second and took a deep breath. No more fear, no more waiting for someone to choose her. She had already chosen herself, and this time, that was enough. She walked down the street, steady and free, ready for whatever came next. Thank you so much for reading to the end. If you enjoyed the story, please like, share, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories. See you next time. Bye.